The sun sinks over the Sahara. Sand that blazed like fire all day now deepens into violet shadow, slipping behind the palm groves lining the Nile. You've always pictured ancient Egypt as a kingdom of relentless sun, gleaming granite under a scorching sky. But here's a truth almost no one tells you. Within hours of sunset, that same land can plunge toward freezing. No clouds, no humidity to trap the heat. The temperature falls in free fall through the dark. And that is exactly when the real battle for survival, the one ancient Egyptians fought every single night, begins. So how did they do it? No furnaces, no insulated windows, no modern heating grids, just mud, straw, and sheer ingenuity. The first line of defense wasn't a device at all. It was the house itself. While limestone and granite were reserved for the eternal homes of gods and pharaohs, the Nile itself provided the material for everyone else. Mud, mixed with straw and dung, shaped into sun-dried bricks. Adobe. And here's what most people don't know. These humble bricks are, thermally speaking, remarkable. They possess something engineers call high thermal mass. Think of them as slow, patient batteries of heat. By day, walls roughly 45 centimeters thick soak up the punishing sun at a crawl, keeping interiors cool. But when night falls and the temperature outside starts to collapse, the wall reverses its work, releasing that stored warmth back into the room, slowly, steadily, for hours. The result: homes that stayed 2.7 to 6.7 degrees Celsius warmer than the desert outside, all night long, with no fire, no fuel, nothing but sun-baked earth doing the work while its builders slept. But a warm wall was never the whole story. Egyptian builders thought beyond the brick. They thought like urban planners. In workers' villages like Deir el-Medina, homes weren't scattered across the sand. They were built wall to wall, packed shoulder to shoulder, sharing walls the way modern row houses do. Fewer exposed surfaces meant less heat loss to the night. An entire village acting as one collective thermal shield. Inside, the design got even more deliberate. Windows were cut small and placed high, right up near the ceiling. Why there? Because warm air rises and lingers near the top of a room, while cold air creeps along the floor. A high, narrow window traps the warmth in and shuts the cold draft out. And then there was the problem of wood. Scarce, expensive, mostly imported. Egyptian builders solved it with something extraordinary: self-supporting parabolic mud brick vaults. No timber beams required, no wooden frame at all. Just curved brick holding itself up under pure compression. These vaults insulated beautifully and silenced the howling desert wind before it ever reached the sleeping family below. Passive design bought them comfort, but on the coldest nights, it wasn't enough. They needed fire. The most common device was a portable clay or metal brazier. What texts call the she or shepherdti for the wealthy, that meant clean-burning charcoal, smokeless and steady. But most Egyptians weren't wealthy. Most burned something far humbler: sun-dried cakes of donkey or goat dung mixed with straw. And here's the surprising part. Experimental archaeology shows this dung fuel worked remarkably well. It smolders slowly, holding a core temperature near 400 degrees Celsius and cooling gradually to around 200 degrees Celsius over hours, warming a room all night without anyone needing to wake and feed the flame. But that warmth came at a price. These homes had no chimneys, only small ventilation gaps. Smoke, fine particulates, and carbon monoxide built up in sealed sleeping rooms night after night. And the evidence of that cost survives in the bodies themselves. Studies on ancient Egyptian child mummies have revealed soot lodged deep in the lungs and signs of chronic respiratory disease, the quiet toll of a warmth that also poisoned the air they breathed. Now imagine you had to choose where you slept, because in ancient Egypt, that choice said everything about who you were. Royalty and nobles slept on raised wooden beds, their surfaces woven tight with flexible linen or leather cord. And here's the detail that surprises almost everyone: these beds tilted, sloped 5 to 10 degrees from head to foot, with a tall footboard to stop the sleeper from sliding down in the night. Modern medicine actually confirms what they discovered by instinct. A slight incline like that improves circulation and digestion. Not bad for a civilization with no doctors studying sleep science. But wood was rare, imported at great cost from as far as Lebanon, so ordinary families, farmers, laborers, craftsmen, never touched a wooden bed. Their solution was just as clever: sleeping dais. A raised platform of mud brick built directly into the room, 30 to 50 centimeters high, coated in plaster. Raised off the cold earthen floor, it kept the sleeper's body from bleeding heat into the ground and away from the cold air pooling below. Which would you have chosen if the choice had been yours? Now picture the strangest object in this entire story. A pillow made of solid stone. It's called a wares, a flat base, a slender column, and a curved crescent rest shaped to cradle the skull, not cushion it. At first glance, it looks like an instrument of torture, but look closer, and it's actually a masterpiece of ergonomic engineering. Standing 15 to 20 centimeters tall, its height was calculated precisely to match the distance from ear to shoulder when someone slept on their side, the standard sleeping position in ancient Egypt. By supporting the skull directly, it kept the neck perfectly aligned, taking pressure off the shoulders. Layers of soft linen were often wrapped around the crescent to soften the contact. But comfort wasn't its only job. Lifting the head off the ground let cool air circulate beneath the neck, and, more urgently, kept the face clear of the desert's night visitors, scorpions, centipedes, biting insects drawn to warmth and skin. For nobles, there was one more benefit. It kept elaborate wigs and wax-set hairstyles from being crushed flat by morning. A stone pillow, solving 4 problems no soft cushion ever could. But the warmest thing in an Egyptian home was never the wall, the fire, or even the stone pillow. It was the people themselves. In these small mud brick rooms, privacy simply gave way to survival. Parents, children, grandparents, even the family dog or cat curled at their feet. Everyone slept together on the same raised platform, forming a living, breathing network of shared warmth. And their sleep wasn't the unbroken 8 hours we chase today. Evidence points to a segmented pattern. A first sleep as night fell, awaking in the middle of the dark to check the embers, sip warm barley beer, whisper a quiet prayer, and then a second sleep, bodies drawn close again until dawn. Then, at last, the sun climbed over the eastern desert. The family rose, sprinkled water across the packed earth floor to settle the dust, and stepped out to greet the light. A small, daily resurrection, echoing the very God they worshipped rising in the east. No furnace, no modern insulation, just brick, dung, stone, linen, and each other. And somehow, it was enough. Strip away 4,000 years, and the problem hasn't changed much at all. We still fight the same nightly battle against the cold. We've just outsourced it to machines. A thermostat does what the mud brick wall once did. A furnace does what the dung-fed brazier once did. A mattress topper does what the sleeping dais once did. But here's the uncomfortable twist. Some of what the Egyptians figured out by trial and error, we're only now rediscovering as science. Architects today are returning to thermal mass, thick, heat-retaining walls, as a low-energy alternative to air conditioning in hot climates. Sleep researchers are revisiting segmented sleep, wondering if our forced 8-hour block is actually the anomaly, not the norm. And that strange stone pillow? Some side sleepers, chasing better neck alignment, still swear by rigid, contoured headrests eerily similar in principle. We didn't invent comfort. We industrialized it. The ancient Egyptians simply asked the same question we ask every winter night. How do I stay warm until morning? And answered it with nothing but earth, fire, wood, and each other. Sometimes, the oldest answers are still worth listening to.